Hi, everyone. I'm Marge Brea, and very excited to be here and share a number of things that we're doing with our MAPS product. And so one of the things I'm going to do is just get started with the slides here. And get these going. So guys, introducing Leadspace MAPS, and Leadspace MAPS is a new offering from Leadspace to basically provide, if you will, a map of all the markets that you're going after. And when you're thinking about Leadspace MAPS, think about almost exactly like you would think about your map in your GPS system in your car. If you're trying to figure out when you're going to a new city or going into a new territory or going into a new market, like how should you and could you understand what is the map of that market? And what we wanted to do here is literally open up the purview of folks to consider, what if I actually could know every company and person I should be going after in a market? How would I think about things differently? And so what Leadspace MAPS are all about is, first of all, MAPS stands for Market Activation Pack. And it's the whole idea is that you could have unlimited exploration for these maps, and go ahead and then have a quick way to go ahead and activate them. So we'll go through each one of these things through some examples. So our maps, right? The first 6 maps that we're offering are corporate families, Fortune 1000, and then a number of United States offerings like the federal government, franchises, enterprises, or small business. Obviously, we can, as you go through, you'll see that we can do, other segments that are popular. But what we're thinking about is, what are the most popular segments that people want to go after, where the whole idea is how to get a view of all of the companies and or all of the people that are in the market. So maybe it makes sense to go ahead and jump in and give you an example. So first of all, let's go ahead and take an example of U.S. franchises. So U.S. franchises, how do I normally think about that? Well, first of all, the franchise business in the United States is about a $900 billion market. There are roughly about 3,000 or so, top franchises that are there, and a lot of folks, maybe including yourselves, it's certainly our customers, look at how they might go ahead and get a scale advantage for land and expand in that market. What we're showing here, for example, is over on the right, a market view of all of, in this case, the Buffalo Wild Wings that are in the United States, and mapped out from a geolocation and all of that kind of good stuff. If you see to the left here, here's an example, right in this area here, where you see like H&R Block, 7-Eleven, etc. These are the other other U.S. franchises that we can go ahead and just go ahead and select as well. The idea here is that make it easy for folks to see how many, where these franchises are at, and all of the, in this case, firmographics and can be technographics, etc., associated with these companies. So over here, you go ahead and just scroll over to the right and get all the firmographic information, and go from there. But it's a quick way to go ahead and get a view of, in this case, Buffalo Wild Wings. When we're at a conference over the last couple of weeks, we were in Texas, so we looked at the Whataburger franchise in Texas, and all of that. And our customers, many of which feel like if they can go ahead and get a land in one of the franchisees, that they could go ahead and then expand it to a full franchise footprint. And so that, get one, get them all kind of go to market motion as part of it. Across the franchises, then lots of different categories in there, guys. And so you can look at literally different restaurants, stores, dealerships, branches, practices is what I called it, in terms of like there's tens of thousands of dentist offices, or family practitioners, or churches that are in here. Who knew, right? All of the Baptist churches that are in the United States. But this is an example, for example, of how to get a handle right away of who are all of these franchises and where they're located, as well as then all of the information you need to have to go ahead and go after them, either from a sales standpoint or a marketing standpoint. Super easy to go ahead and explore all of these, and then deploy them into your Salesforce or into your marketing automation platform, etc. So that's one example. Another example would be corporate families. This one for me is my favorite, to be honest with you. I have had more years than I care to admit of being a head of marketing, where routing of leads to the right salesperson, to the right territory, et cetera, was always a big deal. And being able to understand and keep up to date with the fact that, for example, of course, everybody knows now that Red Hat is part of IBM, but IBM buys lots of little companies like NS1 and others. So how do you keep up to date with the acquisitions in a complex company and be able to understand what those corporate hierarchies are, parent-child relationships, et cetera? What we're showing here is this is the corporate families offering. You certainly are able to go ahead and procure the entire set if you would like. More often, what we're seeing are folks saying, "Hey, take a look at our CRM system. Tell me the corporate family members that are missing, and add those in, and we can go ahead and then have a very clean hierarchies, et cetera, for who to go after." And why is this cool? A lot of folks in their CRM systems, as you guys probably are well aware, the salesperson is typically the person who loads in the first account. Depending on how you assist that salesperson on those accounts, they might pick something that is at the top of a corporate hierarchy, which might be called the global ultimate, or something that's in the middle of it. And suddenly, a Red Hat becomes IBM, becomes, if you will, the child wagging the parent dog. And so by having this offering of corporate families, in literally just a few steps, we can go ahead and help any of you go ahead and look at your CRM systems, and or marketing automation platforms or databases, and add structure to it so that you can understand what are the all the complex orgs in it. For example, the 8.7 million companies who have children or subsidiaries, or if you will, or branches reporting up into the company. So I think of that as a complex organization. Or the 190 million plus companies around the world that we have in our data set that are single sites, meaning they don't have anybody else reporting into them. So this is a great way to kind of sort out the complex and the single sites, and make sure, especially for the complex companies, that you've got all the pertinent, I think about it as a corporate org chart, so that when a division or a subsidiary or a branch is reporting into a company, et cetera. Domestic ultimates are here. You can see in this, we have 202 million domestic ultimates. You can see over in the box here, kind of the mix of where companies are around the world to get a view of India versus USA versus France versus China, and all of that kind of good stuff. So the idea here is to help add structure to especially CRMs that sometimes don't have that structure because they've grown up via salespeople, entering accounts one at a time, and the hierarchies are kind of broken. It might be lots of dupes, might be all kinds of stuff that are associated with this. So this offering can help and can help any of you sort out your CRM. And literally, I had used this in a use case a few weeks ago, where I was able to, in the course of about 90 minutes, straighten out a CRM that was had north of 30,000 accounts in it, et cetera. And so easy way to do it. You're basically just taking an accounts report out of your CRM, and we can go ahead and help you then add the organizational structure right away to the to the company set. So what does that mean? You're going to have your territories well defined because you'll know if you're assigning folks at a global level or at a domestic level, if you've got your territories right. You're going to know on your leads, routing of leads, and opportunities, et cetera, that you haven't wasted a salesperson's time, or maybe even worse, rip them off because you gave their opportunity to somebody else and they started working it. So this is one of my favorites, and frankly, especially as you guys are going into planning for your next fiscal year, whenever that is. Essential tool from my point of view for putting together from a sales operations or marketing operations standpoint, otherwise known as revenue operations, how to go after a set of companies and structure that, or create a TAM like that everywhere in the world. So and we'll do another session on just creating TAMs to talk through that. The next pack or map that I'll introduce is our U.S. federal government map. And this was wonderful conversation had with a person who was a public sector marketing manager, industry marketing manager. So you can imagine in public sector, one of the things you want to do all day long is go after the federal government, right? Also state and local, otherwise known as SLED, Fed and SLED. But what was great is I was like, hey, how many entities are in the federal government, U.S. federal government? And the answer was like, I don't know, like maybe 200 or 400. And the answer is today is 66,092. So you'll see this right in the middle here. And of course, this changes as they update things or not. And this gives you a view of where those 66,092 entities are all over the world. What we've shown here as well is that that we have within our database about 1.3 million contacts who are associated with the U.S. federal government. So our maps can be used for just companies alone, or can be for contacts alone, or companies in contacts as well. And of course, we can organize them by departments, or by personas or other things as part of that. Over on the right, it just shows like a use case for, okay, how many of those sites are, for example, in Washington, D.C.? And how might you think about that as, let's say, a territory or a field marketing campaign or things like that? It basically is showing every step of the way. In this case, also, you could just look at, kind of the hierarchy within the federal government to say, okay, top level is the U.S. federal government. Next level are going to be things like Congress and judiciary and executive branch, if you all remember from your from the courses you took in grade school, right? And then below that, you've got all of the folks reporting into them. So it just gives you a view of a great way of sorting out everything that's in something as complex as the federal government. And you'll get, as part of this note, I've got a lot of blanks here. I didn't want to share any of the PII here, but basically, gives you a view of up here all of the firmographics, and this goes on and on and on to the right. And then from a contact standpoint, where they report into, and then also all of the information about contact details, etc. So that's the U.S. federal government. The next one then is an SMB pack, and a small and medium business pack. And again, you can define this however you want. What I've done is taken the large case, meaning in this case I've said, okay, let's look at everybody who's 1,000 employees or less in the U.S. And I'm calling that small and medium business. That is, if you're really going after it, it's basically about 15 million unique companies, and with about 19 million sites. Why would there be 4 million sites? Because if you remember from the corporate families, some of those companies might have multiple sites. So, so in the U.S., for companies less than, with less than 1,000 employees, there's 19 million sites that, globally represent that. And then, for example, in our database below, you can see also in our graph that we've got about 103 million contacts that are associated with that, and some of the departments that are across there. So, and then if you wanted to like zoom into Texas, you can go ahead and do that. You can zoom into Texas, and then Austin, Texas, or whatever if you want. But again, the idea of again, you're starting from what are all the companies I'm trying to go after in the contacts I'm trying to go after, and then you can filter in from there. For me, I've been using the phrase "seeing is believing." I have had so many teams, when we're talking about territories or talking about field marketing campaigns, et cetera, and being able to see the various companies, the various entities, the people who are not only in those maps, if you will, but then also you can layer onto it intent, fit, other things like that to say, now these are the folks I should be going after, engagement, who's lit up in those areas, et cetera. So, so I want to do that. And then, last one is just, I've kind of got a bare bone screen here, just because enterprise is so broad, right? But greater than 1,000 employees, you can look at, in this case, we're looking at all of the sites that are associated with the United States in these areas. But like how many sites does Walmart have in here? Globally, all of the sites that we have, goes back to our first corporate family. We've got the 227 million sites, distinct companies. I had mentioned 190 million standalone companies that are there, and then within enterprise, go ahead and click into, if you'd like, Walmart, and then all of the folks that are within Walmart, et cetera. The way we've tried to configure this is first of all, notice this is in our studio product, and so it's able to be deployed immediately into products that into the product you guys know and love already, and or for new clients, obviously you can use our studio to go after this. Also able to be deployed directly into Salesforce or other things there, and and give you a view of everything that we've got there. So, so with that, then, I'll just, kind of end it here and see if there are any questions. that folks have, and or things that that we wanted to go ahead and cover here. So looks like I've got like 3 questions, and first one is, great presentation. Well, thank you. Can you talk about how you activate these data sets and enrich? Absolutely. So first of all, the activation is literally as easy as a deploy to, meaning it's a export it and put it directly into a segment. You might not want to do all of these at once, and so for salespeople, you want to put it into your CRM or a portion of it. For marketing people, then it's all part of the segmentation and putting campaigns together within the studio tool. From an enrichment standpoint, we enrich our in this case these data sets with quarterly updates. And of course, if you added intent to it, or with the contact data, you can get much more enrichment, meaning every as you're running and operationalizing it. But these data sets in particular are for mostly discovery and exploration, and we include quarterly updates as part of the program. Hopefully that answers your question. And Abed, thank you for the question. Then I had another question. How quickly can maps be used to help salespeople pick their targets? Well, like literally, it's first of all, I'd always say, hey, listen, salespeople picking your targets, we might want to give you a little help to say, hey, let's add a little bit of predictive analytics to help you do that. But very quickly, we can, like literally within the course of an hour, you give us access to your, choose the map that you want to receive. We can be up and running literally in 24 hours. Like it could be minutes if the APIs are working and all of that kind of good stuff, meaning you give us access. And we'll go ahead and be able to enrich your CRM or go ahead and have them deployed into your studio. Then the next question was, how does this help in cleaning and updating the CRM? Thanks for that as well. The from my perspective on this, first of all, you've got a view of the whole kit and caboodle. And so many folks have not updated their CRM or portions of their CRM in a while. In fact, last week we're at an event where some prospects out there had said, hey, they're almost afraid, they have fear of updating, FOU, I guess, because it's so expensive. So first of all, we are the company that believes in update your CRM, update your profiles often, and so from our perspective, at least once a quarter, do it, and we can use this up-to-date data to make sure via the packs or via these maps, to be able to keep your contacts up to date, and also any of the information from a parent-child standpoint, hierarchies, etc. If you use our platform to go ahead and operationalize your entire portfolio, it's all inline, and so real time, go ahead and do updates or schedule or batch it, whatever's right. Use it. We can enrich right from our smart forms or yours, and do it in your lead funnel in terms of keeping things up to date, cleaning, updating, etc. Or we can do scheduled full updates of CRM, each one of the objects, etc. So a lot of flexibility. And again, our point of view is that once a record is procured, please update it early and often, all year round. We will not charge you a second time for that record. And we call that profiles under management. We believe that a profile, it gets static, and we want to make sure your data is dynamic, and that you don't have to, if you will, put up with the static quo, of data out there in the marketplace. So hopefully that was a decent overview of our MAPS, new portfolio. I'd love nothing more than you reaching out and engaging with us. We're excited to engage with you. And frankly, from my perspective, I know every year when I'd been doing planning or trying to develop TAMs in the past, I'm like, hey, does everything in my CRM? And I'm like, whoa, who's on the Fortune 1000 list right now? By the way, we do have a Fortune 1000 map as well. But I'm constantly then saying, oh, let me see if I can download that spreadsheet. And this was in past lives, not at Leadspace. But let me look at who's on the Fortune 1000, and that was kind of how I was eyeballing to make sure that I wasn't missing something, blatant in my CRM. Don't settle for that. We can help you get a view of your entire market and organize your CRM, keep it up to date, and make sure that you've got a really effective tool for your sales and marketing go to market. With that, thanks for your attention, and look forward to seeing all of you guys. Appreciate it.